What happens after the last breath? Does the self dissolve into emptiness, or does it enter realms beyond human comprehension? Welcome, soul traveler, to the mystery of mysteries. Today we will explore one of the most profound and enigmatic texts of Tibetan Buddhism, the Bardo Thödol, more commonly known in the West as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Imagine a guide that accompanies you through the deepest and most mysterious moments of existence. This is the role of the Bardo Thödol. It is not merely a manual on the end of life, it serves as a spiritual map for what happens immediately after physical death. Prepare yourself, for together we will cross this portal, unravel its teachings, and perhaps gain a deeper understanding of what it means to exist. The Bardo Thödol was created by Padmasambhava, a legendary figure in Tibetan Buddhism. Born in India, he is credited with bringing Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century. Revered in Tibetan tradition as Guru Rinpoche, meaning precious master, Padmasambhava was not just a monk. He was a profound spiritual master and yogi who mastered mystical techniques and esoteric teachings. The Bardo Thödol emerged from his desire to guide both the living and the dead, offering a path to liberation even after the last breath. From a young age, Padmasambhava exhibited extraordinary mystical abilities and was recognized as a Mahasiddha, a figure who has attained a high level of spiritual realization. He was invited to Tibet by King Trisong Detsen, who sought to expand Buddhism and unify the country under a single belief system. At that time, Tibet was steeped in shamanic practices and animist beliefs, deeply rooted in the Bon religion, the indigenous Tibetan spiritual practice. This diverse spiritual landscape posed challenges to the spread of Buddhism. Upon his arrival in Tibet, Padmasambhava faced resistance from various cultural and spiritual forces. The local deities and spirits of the Bon tradition resisted Buddhism, prompting Padmasambhava to use his knowledge of magic and tantric ritualism to tame these spirits. This integration of Bon deities and practices into Tibetan Buddhism was crucial for establishing a lasting spiritual foundation. Padmasambhava founded Tibet's first Buddhist monastery, Sami Monastery, and began conveying profound teachings about the mind, reality, and the cycle of existence known as samsara. In Tibetan Buddhism, death is viewed not as an end, but as a transitional state, a moment that opens the door to spiritual liberation. Padmasambhava recognized that at the moment of death, the mind enters a unique state, free from the distractions of the physical body, making it more receptive to ultimate truth. He understood that this moment presents a unique opportunity for liberation. However, most people, when they die, become lost in illusions and fears that obstruct this possibility. His mission was to create a guide that could be recited by those accompanying the dying or studied in life, preparing the mind for the bardos, the transitional states after death. Essentially, he aimed to alleviate suffering and open doors to enlightenment, even when everything seems uncertain and dissolving. This compassion forms the foundation of the Bardo Thödol. Padmasambhava also recognized that many may not achieve enlightenment in life, but he viewed death as a final opportunity. He offered instructions for practitioners and disciples to recognize the clear light, the pure manifestation of the mind, at the moment of passing. The Bardo Thödol guides us through three main states, or bardos, that every soul traverses: the Chikai Bardo, the moment of death. In the Chikai Bardo, the soul experiences the moment of death itself, a transition where the physical body dissolves and consciousness is liberated from its material limitations. Once this dissolution is complete, the soul encounters the primordial clear light, described in the Bardo Thödol as a dazzling, pure, and immense light. This clear light represents the absolute nature of the mind, a state of pure, unconditional consciousness, devoid of duality, fear, or attachment. Some may refer to it as the higher self or the solar mind. For the spiritual practitioner, the Chikai Bardo offers the possibility of final liberation. If the soul recognizes the clear light as part of its essence, it can attain instant liberation or nirvana, eliminating the need to pass through the subsequent stages of the bardos. This recognition does not rely on rituals or doctrines. It is a direct experience of truth, where the mind sees itself without filters or distortions. In this moment, all conditioning, karma, and identities dissolve. Conversely, for those unprepared, the intensity of the clear light can be terrifying. Instead of recognizing it as their true nature, the Chonyid Bardo, the Bardo of visions. As Carl Jung once said, gods and demons are projections of the unconscious, powerful and inescapable until understood as parts of ourselves. In the Chonyid Bardo, the soul exists in a state of consciousness devoid of its physical body, within a dimension where tangible boundaries cease to exist. Here, the soul experiences projections of its own mind, which can manifest as both angelic forms and disturbing visions. This Bardo reveals the mind's essence, bringing forth all that has been repressed, desired, or feared in an intensified manner. The visions in the Chonyid Bardo reflect the soul's emotional and karmic states, accumulated over lifetimes, presenting themselves in two distinct forms: peaceful visions and wrathful visions. Initially, the soul is greeted by peaceful deities representing enlightened and benevolent aspects of consciousness. These figures may appear as Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, or deities of light, emanating the positive qualities cultivated by the soul. However, for an unprepared mind, these visions may feel overwhelming or incomprehensible, leading the soul to retreat and doubt the reality of this experience. If the soul fails to recognize the peaceful nature of the initial visions, it will gradually confront more intense visions, known as the wrathful deities. These figures manifest anger, fear, and repressed desires, taking on monstrous forms. Importantly, these wrathful deities are not external entities, but expressions of the mind itself, reflecting the passions and attachments that bind the soul to suffering. The Chonyid Bardo is characterized by a state where the mind is free from physical limitations, experiencing pure psychic manifestation. The visions that arise resemble dreams but possess a striking clarity and vividness. This occurs because the mind, now free from the body, experiences its internal energies without filters. Everything repressed and accumulated emerges with tangible intensity. These visions are opportunities for learning and enlightenment, representing aspects of the self that need integration or transcendence. Those who maintain awareness during this Bardo can perceive that all visions, good and bad, peaceful and wrathful, are mere creations of the mind. Recognizing this truth enables the soul to dissolve fear and attain liberation. However, for most beings, recognizing the clear light is challenging. The visions are so real and filled with personal meaning that it becomes difficult to see beyond them. Therefore, the Bardo Thödol encourages spiritual practitioners to train during life to detach from illusions and contemplate the nature of the mind. Such practice will enable them to maintain focus on the clear light, even when faced with the intense visions of the Chonyid Bardo, allowing them to find peace. Fear and attachment are significant barriers to liberation. The intensity of the visions can provoke deep fear, especially from the wrathful deities, which represent untamed aspects of the psyche. This fear fosters a sense of separation, preventing the soul from recognizing the visions as parts of itself. The soul may wish to flee from these visions, or, out of attachment, fixate on some of them, particularly the peaceful ones, keeping it bound to the cycle of samsara. To transcend this cycle, the soul must recognize the visions as empty of inherent reality, a concept known in Tibetan Buddhism as shunyata, or emptiness. A mind that recalls emptiness during the Chonyid Bardo can observe all visions without attachment, understanding them as temporary expressions of its nature. Consequently, the Chonyid Bardo is not a punishment or meaningless suffering. It is a revelation phase where the soul confronts the mirror of its mind. It serves as a test that distinguishes those ready for liberation from those who still require rebirth to deepen their learning. The Siddha Bardo. Rebirth in the Siddha Bardo, the final stage. The soul encounters a crucial moment, the choice of its next body, determined by the accumulated energy of all actions, thoughts, and intentions, collectively known as karma. This moment synthesizes the entire previous journey, where what the soul carries within influences its next destination. During this Bardo, the soul has already experienced dissolution in the Chikai Bardo and faced its projections and illusions in the Chonyid Bardo. Now it finds itself in a state of greater psychic density, where the desire for rebirth intensifies, driven by fears and attachments not yet overcome. This desire compels the soul to seek a new body in a new form of existence. In the Siddha Bardo, Consciousness is shaped by karmic inclinations, subtle marks left by past actions. These marks act as magnetic forces, drawing the soul towards circumstances and experiences that reflect its inner state. For instance, if the soul carries significant fear, that fear may guide it toward a rebirth where it will confront those same emotions. Similarly, intense desires and uncontrolled emotions create a vortex of energy that shapes the nature of the next life. Throughout the Siddha Bardo, the soul experiences visions associated with the rebirth process, including images of couples in union, a metaphor for the creation of new life. Here, the soul is invited to choose a new body, unconsciously guided by emotional tendencies and karmic impulses. The Bardo Thödol suggests that upon seeing these images, the soul should maintain detachment and lucidity. Only then can it avoid being blindly driven into an undesirable rebirth. For those who can remain calm and detached, the Siddha Bardo offers a final chance for transcendence. It is possible to choose the path of liberation instead of rebirth. This is the goal of the spiritual practitioner. Rather than being reborn under the sway of illusions and attachments, they must recognize these visions as ephemeral manifestations of their own mind. Throughout the Siddha Bardo, consciousness feels a strong pull toward a new body, a process that can be likened to a psychic storm. The urge to continue existing becomes irresistible. The choice of a new body is not a conscious decision. It occurs instinctively, where the characteristics of the new rebirth reflect the mind state. The next body serves as a mirror of what the soul needs to experience or resolve. This process of choice also embodies the Buddhist belief that each rebirth is an opportunity for spiritual growth. The body the soul chooses aligns closely with its karmic and spiritual development. However, many do not comprehend this opportunity and end up reborn into adverse conditions that perpetuate suffering. Those who can see beyond this illusion may reach a state where, instead of rebirth, they can merge into the clear light, the ultimate essence of the mind. According to the Bardo Thödol, preparation for this final stage begins in life. By contemplating the nature of our desires and fears while alive, we become more aware of the impulses that shape our destiny. Spiritual practices, such as meditation and reflection on death, enhance our capacity for detachment, helping the mind remain unbound by the dramas that arise in the Siddha Bardo. Ultimately, the Siddha Bardo reveals a simple yet profound truth. Life and death are interconnected, and the cycle of rebirth is a continuous expression of our choices and perceptions. By freeing ourselves from attachments, we liberate ourselves from the cycle of rebirth and attain enlightenment, the state where rebirth ceases because the illusion of a fixed identity dissolves. The Bardo Thödol is not merely a religious text or a collection of esoteric beliefs. It serves as a tool for self-knowledge, a mirror for our minds, and a map for our destinies. It teaches us that death is the definitive end of the human story, but it is also a portal to new beginnings. As Ram Dass once said, "When you die, there is only one question that matters. How much did you love?" In this light, the Tibetan Book of the Dead invites us to reflect on our lives. Are we ready for the final journey? Are we prepared to let go of everything we believe we are? By contemplating these teachings, we can not only prepare for death, but also learn how to truly live. If this exploration of the unknown resonated with you, please share this video and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what intrigues you most about life after death. The path of self-knowledge is long, and together we can explore the greatest mysteries of existence. Thank you for watching.